We are pretty deep. Holy shit, I just realized what Von Miller's contract is, but we'll talk about that in a second. But we are pretty deep into NFL free agency. There have been a lot of big moves. As most recently, Von Miller is going to the Buffalo Bills. So today we're going to be just talking about some contracts handed out and about the Jacksonville Jaguars and my opinion on what they've signed so far. So, let's begin with Von Miller's contract. Humongous deal, right? 6 years, 120 mil. I don't like this contract. He's already going to be like 33 at this point. It's a long-term extension. I think he's going to be retiring a Buffalo Bill. Obviously, we know him best with the Denver Broncos, but he will be probably spending the remainder of his career in Buffalo. This is a very, very big deal. We already knew that Buffalo would go after a pass rusher either in the draft or in free agency. Von Miller is clearly one of the best, not just pass rushers, but best players over this past decade, from 2011, from when he got drafted, all the way to now. He's just been so good. Next up, we got J.C. Jackson going to the Chargers. This is a really interesting deal, right? And a lot of people may think that it's not good because the Chargers have other positions to address. But I think this is a perfect signing for the Chargers. J.C. Jackson is still only 26 years old. That means he's got, in Madden terms, I'm just talking about Madden, 5 years until he slowly starts to regress. But 4 to 5 years where he really does start to lose a bit of his value. But I think he's still going to be really, really good with the Chargers. And this is a really underrated signing. You look at that corner group, it's pretty good, right? But at one point, they had Desmond King, one of the best slot corners. Chris Harris, one of the best corners in the past decade. And obviously Casey Hayward, who had been pretty good with the Packers and really just reached his prime with the Chargers. And it went to just Chris Harris and no one, right? So they drafted Asante Samuel Jr., who played extremely well in his rookie year, right? But Chris Harris, he is going to be 32 to 33 years old. He is getting older. He is not the same player that he once was with the Denver Broncos, right? J.C. Jackson, ball-hawking talent. He's going to help you get the ball from the defense to the offense. He's going to give your offense more opportunities. With Justin Herbert being as good as he is. With Mike Williams, of course, signing that massive extension to stay in Los Angeles. With Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler and hopefully a more improved offensive line coming into the draft because they cut Brian Bulaga, obviously. But that's going to be a lot of weapons to drive down the field. And the Chargers could even be Super Bowl contenders if they have a really, really good draft, right? Now, we'll skip Christian Kirk. We'll talk about that later in the actual Jacksonville addressing, right? Randy Gregory. And this is just the most funniest part of free agency of all, right? Like Dallas. We need to keep some good players. We'll trade Amari Cooper for, like, peanuts or trash. And we will at least re-sign Michael Gallup, which they did, and we'll re-sign Randy Gregory, which they did. And then Randy Gregory got a 5-year, $70 million deal, and he said, hey, Dallas, I'm out of here. And he just went to the Denver Broncos. I mean, it's a really good signing for the Broncos. I mean, ever since they lost Von Miller, there's a pass rusher that needs to, fill his place. Bradley Chubb's okay. He's pretty injury-prone, I would say, Bradley Chubb. But Randy Gregory, he is 29, but I think he can be really, really good. He's reaching his prime with Dallas, and I think he's only going to continue his prime with Denver. Now, this was the pickup that I was just so excited about, because obviously, we did not re-sign Deshaun Elliott. Excuse that voice. We did not re-sign Deshaun Elliott. So, can I quickly get an update? Any day now. Is it trying? Alright, it is. Alright. So we lost Calais Campbell, Brendan Williams, obviously, but where is he? Yeah, there he is. Deshaun Elliott. Like, obviously, he's really good, but Marcus Williams is better. And while, they're basically like a 1 year difference, right? There's a 1 year difference between them. Marcus Williams is really good. Another 5-year, $70 million deal. This time, $37 million guaranteed. He's only gotten better. And I think if you look at overall awards, that's not going to signify how good Marcus Williams is. Obviously, he led up the big Minnesota Miracle shenanigan, and that's no good, but I don't think he's that player, right? And then Chandler Jones going to the Raiders. Now, this is a big, big deal because the Raiders are getting 2 players and the Colts are only getting 1. So I kind of think they finessed this. So Chandler Jones, I think it's a perfect deal for what his value is worth, for what he is worth. 3 years, $52.5 mil, $34 million guaranteed. Yannick Ngakoue. We don't know his future. He is a bit younger, like about 4 years younger than Chandler Jones, or 5 or 3. It's one of those 3, right? But Yannick Ngakoue was pretty inconsistent this past year. So why don't we, as the Raiders, trade Yannick Ngakoue to the Indianapolis Colts and get Rock Ya-Sin, who will help our cornerback group? That's going to be really, really good. I love that move, right? Chandler Jones going to the Raiders, I really, really like it. Brandon Sheriff, obviously, Foyesade Aluakun will save. Hassan Reddick, now this is just one that I didn't get, and not because the Philadelphia Eagles signing him was a bad contract. I think it was really, really good. Why did Carolina not re-sign Hassan Reddick? Because obviously, for the first 3 years of his career, we thought he was going to be a bust. We were thinking that he was purely going to be a bust, nothing else. And then he blew up with the Cardinals, and the Cardinals didn't re-sign him. He went for a 1-year deal with the Carolina Panthers, but they didn't re-sign him, even though he was really good. And he hit the market. Philadelphia got a really, really good player, because Reddick has had 2 consecutive years of really good football. They really badly need edge rusher, right? At this point, it was a position they were looking to address in the 2022 NFL Draft. And I guess Hassan Reddick, it's still a need, but it's way less of a need. And I think that's a perfect amount of money that you have to hand out to a guy like him. Now, this one I didn't like. Larry Ogunjobi, he's a decent player. I mean, him making over $10 million, if he plays out to his full potential, it's not good. This is $26 mil guaranteed. This is pretty much $10 million a year, right? It's close enough. It's about 8 to 9, about that, right? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to be handing out to a guy who has been pretty good, right? But we know a lot of better players who could have gotten bigger deals. For example, Zadarius Smith. Now, I love this signing by my Ravens. We really badly needed a pass rusher. Now, his health is a concern. I love the contract. 4 years, $35 mil. We don't know the total guarantee just yet, but this is really good. We really do need a pass rusher. Odafe always good, right? He's going to be great for the future. Tyus Bowser is a veteran pass rusher. I don't think we have Justin Houston anymore. We are going to be left with Jalen Ferguson. That's not a very good option. Zadarius Smith's great, right? And him going for less than $10 mil a year, really good. Like that contract, right? Of course, 4-year, he did start off his career with Baltimore. 4-year deal, though, hopefully, crossing my fingers, he does not get injured throughout his career in Baltimore. Bengals signing Alex Kappa, I think he's a solid player. 4 years, 35 may be... Nah, you know what? It's an okay deal. The total guaranteed is 11 mil. I like this contract, actually, for Alex Kappa. Now, Justin Reed, one of probably the Houston's best players. Only 25 years old. The Houston Texans don't bother to re-sign him. They're out, and the Chiefs sign him because they've lost Tyrann Mathieu. Now, this may be a conspiracy right now, but what if the Chiefs don't want to bring back Tyrann Mathieu and they think Justin Reed's a good replacement, right? Now, obviously, Tyrann Mathieu is one of the best, the best safety in all of football, right? Maybe there's an argument to be made for, Minkah Fitzpatrick or someone like that, but right now, Tyrann Mathieu has played so well throughout the course of his career that he deserves a contract from a really good team. Personally, I think he should go to either the 49ers or the Vikings. I think those two teams would be really good to get him. But Reed going to the Chiefs, I like. I mean, Juan Thornhill, does he even play for them anymore? He's not been playing much. Darius Williams we'll talk about later. Russell Gage going to the Bucks. That was actually pretty good. Interesting signing. Like, Scotty Miller's okay. Tyler Johnson's okay. You're getting another really, like, okay player with Russell Gage. And I think you may have overpaid him just a bit. Marcus May, obviously going to New Orleans. He was not happy with his time in New York, so he goes to New Orleans to replace Marcus Williams. Perfect. Right now, I don't know if New Orleans did retain Malcolm Jenkins. If not, they do have CJ or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And this is a really good contract to get a really good player in Marcus May. James Daniels going to Pitt is really going to help Najee Harris really average more than 3 per carry. Like, he was so good in his rookie year. But we want him to do more, right? We want him to do more, and he can be one of our best players on the entire team. And I think James Daniels is a big way to start. He's only 24, so that's huge. Sebastian Joseph Day going to the Chargers. CJ Uzomah, like, that was interesting, right? Like, him going from Cincinnati, he was pretty good in Cincinnati, and he goes to New York, who does really need a tight end, That's a really good contract. 3 years, 24 mil. Like that one. Uchenna Nwosu going to the Seahawks. Oh, yeah, Miles Jack got cut. Because I think they're set with Foyesade Oluokun, and they just cut Miles Jack, and he went to Pitt. So the Jags linebacking core is just going to the Steelers, because they got Joe Schobert, and now they get Miles Jack. Miles Jack's a really good player. I think he's extremely underrated. DJ Chark, of course, going to Detroit. 1 year, 10 mil. This is a good contract, right? DJ Chark did get injured last year, but he's a good player when healthy. 1 year deal, if he doesn't work out for you in Detroit, say bye-bye. But adding weapons to the Detroit team that really isn't that good is monumental for maybe your next quarterback of the future, who may even be Jared Goff. As I don't think I need to talk about anyone else. O.J. Howard, of course, recently got signed by the Buffalo Bills. I can't really talk about much more. Yeah, of course, Julio Jones got cut. Yeah, that was something we need to talk about as well. But now let's talk about Jacksonville, because I need to share my opinion with you on their free agency. It sucks. It has been terribly bad, and I will tell you the reason why. You will say, hey, I mean, they're surrounding Trevor Lawrence with great pieces. Oh, wow. But let's talk about Brandon Sheriff. Like, I love this signing. Brandon Sheriff is really good. I don't know if I can say his career has been wasted. Like, Washington was really bad. Like, they were so terrible. They were picking at the top of the draft for many stages in their franchise over, like, the 2010s, right? After RG3 didn't work out. And then Brandon Sheriff, I guess you can say his career has been wasted. He's going to move to Jacksonville, hopefully restructuring a pretty bad offensive line. Now, like, these contracts that they're handing out are just awful. They are awful. So, Evan Ingram, I like this contract, 1 year, 9 mil. Like, he was the meme of the league at one point. Butterfingers, you know. There's literally compilations of Evan Ingram not catching a football. Literally, there are compilations of him doing that. But hopefully he'll do decent with Jacksonville. But now, handing Christian Kirk a contract, good idea. Handing him a contract worth $72 million over 4 years, not a good idea. Terrible, terrible idea. Like, $37 million guaranteed, but Kirk himself has never, I don't think, gone over 1,000 yards in his entire career. Let's take a look at him. ESPN, here it is. Let's go to Pro Football Reference, actually. Wait, internet's just not working right now. Here we go. Alright. He has never gone over 1,000 yards. Like, he's been decent, but he's always been a number 2, right? Kirk is a good player, but he's not worth, at the most, $18 million. Now, $37 million guaranteed for a guy like Kirk, that's fine. But I think his contract will be a big part of a restructure coming up, right? You see guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Christian McCaffrey from the past years, taking huge pay cuts with, of course, Tom Brady. I'm pretty sure Ben Roethlisberger did it too. That's, I think, what's going to happen with Christian Kirk. Foyesade Oluokun, cutting him and then signing him and then cutting Myles Jack doesn't make sense. Because if you look at the contracts, 3 years, $49 million. Like, or that's not the guy. $45 million though. It's pretty close what I said, right? Foyesade Oluokun's a good player, but so is Myles Jack. Just because you sign a good player doesn't mean you have to cut all the other players that are actually good. Like, Myles Jack has played there for 5 years, 6 years pretty much. And he has played good football. Foyesade Oluokun comes in, kicks Myles Jack out. It doesn't make any sense. Now, 3 years, $28 million guaranteed. Of course, that's not the worst thing in the world, but Darius Williams, 3 years, $30 million. I like that contract. He's not the best player in the world, right? And then now they're letting go of guys like DJ Chark. And then, of course, I've talked about Myles Jack, but this is the most perplexing one. Zay Jones. Zay Jones. Bust out of, I believe it was East Carolina. Bust. He was bad with the Bills and not very good with the Raiders. How can you justify this contract? 3 years, $24 million. I don't care about the guaranteed at that point. He should not be contending for this kind of money. He is bad. Like, this is just not a good way to get weapons around Trevor Lawrence. I love that you're going out there and spending money. Yeah, I do. But Trevor Lawrence needs to be with good players. Like, get a guy like Teron Armstead. Stop spending big money on guys like Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, right? Or sign Allen Robinson back. Sign Odell Beckham Jr. Like, obviously, he's probably going to go to the Rams again, but... Or has he already? I don't even know. But sign guys like that. Don't sign players who are not going to be guaranteed to be amazing players with your team to huge multi-million-dollar contracts. Again, like I said, I love that you're trying to surround Trevor Lawrence with weapons. These guys are not going to help your team very much. Just no. Right? But wow. Yeah, interesting free agency overall, though. I think every team's done really well. There have been some teams that have been really, really quiet. Teron Armstead should be picked up any day now. I mean, it's going so slow, it's unbelievable. Here we go, right? Teron Armstead should be signed. He should be picked up by some team, hopefully. Where is he? Where is he? Is Trent Williams signed? Where did Trent Williams go? Wait, Trent Williams isn't on this list. All right, you know what? I'll search him up on Google. That's fine. Trent Williams is not the guy. It's Teron Armstead. I searched up for Trent Williams. I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. Oh, dang. Alright. Teron Armstead. Yeah, I mean, he's a really good player. He's the best left tackle in the league. I was thinking like Trent Williams because I was thinking in my head, who's better? But in the end, like, someone should pick him up, right? Someone should pick Allen Robinson up. Oh, forgot about this one. Bobby Wagner's in free agency. One of the best linebackers over this past decade. Like, obviously, he's starting to regress at this point. Why sign Foyesade Oluokun to a huge deal when you can sign Bobby Wagner? Sign Tyrann Mathieu. Sign Teron Armstead. If you have big money, spend it on big-name players like that, right? Oh, by the way, Joe Schobert, he's not on the Pittsburgh Steelers anymore. Yeah, he was, I guess, not re-signed. I don't know. Wow. I mean, I really talked my ass off today, so I want to thank you guys so much for watching the free agency recap over this past couple of days. It's been wild. It's been a wild ride. It's going to be really, really fun to see these new players on their new teams, and I will see you in the next video.